Hello, my loves. Welcome to another episode of the Melanin Mayhem Podcast, hosted by your favorite country girl, Renee Davis. Ooh, if this is your first chance tiptoeing through the tulips of mayhem, let me break it down for you. You see, Melanin Mayhem brings you the stories of some of the most heinous, diabolical, and downright audacious crimes committed by some baddies of the Wakandian tribes, honey. You know, black folks. And in most cases, these crimes and the criminals that committed them were overlooked, underreported, or outright ignored by mainstream media. So that's why I do what I do, because there is a pervasive myth that there are certain types of crimes that black people don't commit. And this myth is getting us fucked up because we've been doing all kinds of shenanigans and we still doing all kinds of shenanigans. And if we don't wise up, we're gonna fuck around and find out. Now, as you can see, I talk that talk, of the cussing variety. And so if you have tender ears, I might take a little time to get used to it, but I promise you, it's an acquired taste that you gonna love, honey. Just ask my peoples, the New One Nation. Hey, Sugarfoot. I have missed y'all something serious. Y'all doing okay? Y'all know school is about to crank back up. All my parents, y'all ready, ain't you? Them kids been eating y'all out of a house and home for 2.5 months, and your refrigerator, your wallet, and your nerves need a break, huh? Ooh, child. I am so glad that them days are over for the country girl. Shout out to the parents of bona fide adults now. Whoop, whoop, we in the house, honey. That empty nest life is wonderful a little bit, huh? Once you get used to it. Anyway, none of this is the point. Let me get back on track because, we got some business to tend to. Couple of church announcements before we get down to today's message. Now, don't forget that tickets are available to the Crime, Cocktails, and Canvases live event October 18th, 2025, right here in Atlanta. The Black True Crime Collective, comprised of Melanin Mysteries, Not My Brother's Keeper, A Sip of Red Rum, as well as moi, your favorite country girl. We will be bringing you not one, not two, not three, but 4 live cases. And we gonna paint and sip and live and love the night away, honey. We've got a jam-packed show, and the best part, we ain't even gonna ask you not to share. Why keep it a secret? Honey, we gonna turn up and we gonna let everybody see what they missed. So the next city that's announced, they're gonna get on the good foot and do what needs to be done. Okay? And those that are members of the discussion group, they got the link to get their tickets. That dropped last Saturday. And of course, the discussion group membership has its privileges. That's why y'all get first shot at the tickets, and there are regular tickets and VIP tickets, and y'all are doing what needs to be done, understanding the assignment. I love it. Thank y'all for purchasing expeditiously. But for everybody else who just by chance is not a member of the private discussion group, those tickets will go on sale to everybody on August 1st. And yes, we do have a block of hotel rooms available that are close to the venue so that you can get your stay on. Also, don't forget that your Melanin Mayhem merch is available over at melaninmayhempodcast.com. And I think for right now, that concludes the church announcements for this week. Now on to the reason why we all here. Y'all, I like to switch it up a little bit to keep y'all on y'all toes. Y'all never know what I'm gonna bring to the picnic, just that it's gonna be some of that good. And y'all also know I don't mind going back in time and bringing y'all a story from way back when. And in most cases, those stories are a double-edged sword, right? Because on the one hand, our mayhem maker did some prolific shit, but because it was way back when, they usually end up getting frizzled by the law or the environmental culture of the time. And today's story is absolutely right square in the middle of all of that shit. But even so, this story is so fucking spectacular that I gotta tell y'all about it. I mean, it's a part of our history, and the shit was wild, even if it ended tragically. And it don't happen a lot where we can root for the mayhem makers' shenanigans, because most times we are dragging their ass for filth, but not today. There will be no dragging of this mayhem maker, but there will be a whole lot of Today's tale of mayhem is about what happens when a person has had enough and is not gonna play these games. No, not at all, honey. So without further ado, y'all go on ahead and get your Swiffles out, because we blowing the dust off some antique mayhem today, honey. Bring into the front of the congregation this week's Melanin Mayhem maker is Mr. William Reynolds. I like to call him Willie One Shot, and you gonna understand why in a minute. Nation. Like I said, we going way back in the Wayback Machine to the year of our Lord 1902. Now, that alone is going to let you know that we have no background information on William because this is the beginning of the 20th century. And did I mention to y'all that we're in Alabama? So, biographical information for the black peoples was not top of mind for the powers that be. Wasn't nobody doing a whole lot of recording of our shit. There was some family Bibles that had everybody's name written down, but unfortunately, I do not have access to those types of things. So here's what we know. We know that a man and a woman got together at some point. They exchanged some bodily fluids, and William Reynolds was the result of their DNA mixing together. And William Reynolds was born somewhere around 1867 in the Birmingham area. So for us, William's story, it begins the day William did some gangster shit. And before you get to thinking that maybe this should have been one of those love kills type of stories, trust me, this story, it hits all of the requirements for Melanin Mayhem because Willie's crime was about as audacious and diabolical as one could get in 1902. Well, shit, for that matter, 2025 too, because baby. Okay, let me tell you what happened. So, it all went down April 6th, 1902, in Tuscumbia, Alabama. Am I saying that right, my Alabamians? Tuscumbia, not Tuscaloosa, Tuscumbia, Tuscumbia. And Tuscumbia, Alabama is in the northwest part of the state. Now, until this particular date, and around now, Willie is about 35 years old, Willie has never had any trouble with the law. And that's a good thing, right? Because it implies that Willie was either a law-abiding citizen or he was good at doing his dirt on the low. Either way, Willie is not wanted by anybody associated with the law. And as a matter of fact, Willie was a working man. Oh yes, honey, he had a job with the Southern Railroad as a brakeman. And that was an important job too because, stopping the train when it's supposed to stop, that shit's very important. And the railroad, that work is hard work. It's definitely not your 9 to 5 type of situation. So Willie was frequently gone on the train. I'm talking weeks at a time. He was the literal definition of a rolling stone. But this particular week, the week of April 6th, Willie was home from the train. And, because he had a little time off and he's home, Willie did the things that people do when they've been gone from their house for a while. Clean up, run errands, get food, maybe pay a bill or two, go holler at your peoples. Willie is out and about and people see him or whatever. I told you, Willie's never been in trouble with the law, so it ain't like he ducking and dodging nobody, right? Well, there was a man named James Isbell that owned a furnishings store in the city. That's how it was described, as a furnishings store. And I assume that, he had the stuff that one could buy for your house. Think old school Walmart. And as was common during the time, customers could purchase goods on credit. You take home whatever it was that you needed and you make payments on said merchandise, right? Well, apparently, Willie had done just that and he had a balance of $5 that was outstanding and overdue, according to James. Okay. And the owner, old James, he found out that Willie was home but hadn't stopped by to run him his money. And James, the store owner, I guess he was in his feelings and was on some bitch better have my money kind of time. Now, I don't know if James, the store owner, I don't know if he ran into Willie and asked him for his money and Willie kind of shook him and ducked and dodged him. I don't know if he saw Willie just out and about in town, or maybe somebody just in conversation might have told him that Willie was in town. But however it happened, James, the store owner, he has decided that he gonna take this here matter here to the next level and we gonna get the law involved. So, James, the store owner, he goes to the sheriff and he swears out a warrant against William Reynolds. James said that Willie had a $5 tab at his store and that he hadn't paid and he wanted Willie arrested for it. Now, and since he knew at this point that Willie was in town, he figured that this would be an ideal time to have him answer for his debt. Now, I wasn't at church, 1902 of it all, but I do know in that time period, 1902, our peoples wasn't at the top of society by any stretch of the imagination. And in my mind, I see the conversation going down in one of them racist kind of ways, and the law seems to be a little too excited to go snatch up a hard-working black man and throw him in jail. History has shown that to be true even up to now, right? So I feel like somebody wanted to stick it to Willie in a way. I don't know. I don't have no proof of this, but, my gut tells me that this is what the fuck was going down. And I think that they were eager to go and fuck up Willie's employment because, if he in jail, he can't go to work. And on the railroad, the train gonna pull out whether you there or not, right? So, like I said, it's April 6th. This is a Sunday. And rather than go to church and let this be one of those easy like Sunday morning, he ain't want to do that. So the sheriff decides that Sunday morning, this is the time, the right time to go snatch a nigga up. And in my opinion, I think they posse up a little bit because the sheriff, his name was Charles Gassaway, is Sheriff Gassaway, his brother, who is also a deputy, Will Gassaway, and the store owner, James Isbell. Now, again, this makes me feel like they was on one because why James got to go? He ain't the law. He is the reason all this is about to go down. He should either be at his store running his business, at home, or at church while the law is going to go do what the law do. But no, James, he got to be right there. And again, something about that just don't smell right to me, right? So they all head down to the bottoms because you know the niggas live in the bottoms. They're going to go arrest Willie. Now, segregation was the name of the game in 1902 in Alabama, and the area where Willie lived was the Negro section of Tuscumbia. Tuscumbia? What did I say, Tuscumbia? This section of town was called Nardtown. Knardtown. Nardtown, Canardtown. You know, with us, it could be any of those. Well, it's about 11 o'clock in the morning when this trio roll up on Willie's house. And so Sheriff Gassaway, he go knock on Willie's door. Willie come answer the door. Good morning, Sheriff. And the sheriff says, hey boy, we are here to arrest you. And the charge is obtaining goods under false pretenses. So you saying he stole something? Okay. So William is cool. He is like, you know what, Sheriff? Okay, so if you just hold on just a minute, let me get my hat. And so Willie duck off behind the door. And it appears that, you know, he just going to go get his hat and close up his house and he going to go with the sheriff. That's how it appeared. That ain't what actually happened. Baby, when Willie showed back up in that door, he didn't have a hat in his hand. Oh, no, honey. He had a Winchester rifle and he quickly put a slug in Sheriff Gassaway's gut. I shot the sheriff. Willie did. And then he ain't through. Oh, no. He shoots again. He shoot the sheriff in his arm this time. Sheriff Gassaway is down. He is out, baby. Willie not done, though. And mind you, he got a rifle. This is not no handgun. This is a pretty big piece of machinery or whatever. It's another person out here, the sheriff's brother, the deputy. Well, Willie turned around on the deputy, and baby, deputy didn't know what the fuck was going on. Well, Willie did. One hit a quarter Willie. He turned and put some hot lead in the sheriff's brother. Blam! I shot the sheriff. And I did shoot the deputy. Baby, again, Willie done shot the sheriff's brother. Now, remember, there's another man there. Old James, the store owner, the one who swore out the warrant. While all the shooting has been going on, James hey, I need to get my ass out the way. So James hauls ass out the line of fire before Willie could put some lead in his head. Because, you know, being up close and personal, trying to see Willie get arrested, almost got you got. So James has run and he is trying to get to some help, right? So James has run off because the law is down and out and is in desperate need of some backup, right? Okay, now at this point, Willie's got a plan. Now, Willie's little house, where it sits in the bottoms, it's just like a 1.5 room little nothing. He understands that in just a minute, the motherfucking posse is coming because I done shot 2 white men. They coming for my ass. He had the foresight to grab the rest of his ammunition, and there's another house that's right there in this clearing, but it sits kind of in the bottom where you have to come up on it. But it's a 2-story house. It's got the main floor. It's got an attic. So Willie decides, you know what? I need to go to that house. And that's exactly what he does, right? Now, this other house, it's the home of a fellow Wakandian, a man named Hillard James. Willie runs up on Hillard, and he tell him, hey, man, get your family, get your shit, and you got to go. Now, Hillard is, you know, taking stock of the situation. He see Willie with his rifle, realized that I done heard some shots. It's clearly finna be some shit going down here. So Hillard didn't want no smoke. So he grabbed up a few things that he didn't want to lose forever. He get his wife and his kids, and he is out the door, out the line of fire. So in the next 60 minutes, they say, Every sour creamian that had a gun or could hold a gun descended on Willie's house. Well, they quickly realized that Willie wasn't there. But here's the thing. They couldn't get past Willie's house to the house, Hillard's house, where he was holed up at, because anybody that walked out into this open area, they got shot down, baby. Like, they are legit like 1,000 deep at one point. But Willie is surgical with this rifle, so they can't do shit. And because this house that he's in has an upper level with all these windows and things, he can just move around, and no matter which way you're trying to come at him, he's shooting. Well, there was a man, Pat Prout. He's standing up and he trying to rally the troops. Fuck this nigger. We're gonna go get this nigger. Baby William put him on his back. He is down. And again, surgical. Willie put this bullet through Pat Prout, and the bullet went straight through Pat Prout and then hit another man named James Payne in his lung. No more breath for his ass. I mean, when I tell y'all, Willie is laying them out. And so they're a little scared, you know what I'm saying? Even though more people keep showing up, more white men ready to skin a nigga alive, you know what I'm saying? They're ready to show that they know what to do to bring this thing to an end. But again, every time somebody try to approach the house, they get shot. Again, more looky-loos that are excited because, you know what? Smells like a lynching in the air. You know, we got lynching on the menu today. Well, they still one at a time trying to approach this house. Another man named Julian Patterson, you know, had a little leg out. He gets shot in the ankle. Every time Willie can see a body part, he's taking a shot, baby. They are the white peoples, they are taking on casualties against one black man holed up in a house. Woo. So by this point, Willie has taken out like 6 people, including a 15-year-old boy named Joe Finney. He got shot in the arm while he was trying to shoot at Willie. Baby, Willie was fighting for his life, and anybody young or old could get it. If you old enough to hold a gun, you old enough to hold some hot lead too. Baby, Willie is taking them down. And what they thought should have taken, moments, because we're talking about legit 1,000 white men and all mannerisms of anger and guns and things, but they cannot get to this one black man. So this one other man, Willie Jones, why he's a white man, he had a lot on his mind, and then Willie gave him a sunroof. Baby, it became real clear that Willie had a lot of ammunition to keep popping their asses. I mean, everybody is Billy Badass until it was time for them to run up and try to rush that house, right? So they tried a few other things to try to get Willie out the house. They tried to Wile E. Coyote Willie's ass. Yeah, they lit some dynamite and threw it at the house, but that was basically just throwing a firecracker at the house. It didn't do shit. And again, Willie is still shooting at anything that moves. So by now, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Remember, this started at 11 a.m. when Sheriff Gasaway went to go try to arrest Willie. So we like 2 hours into this standoff. And so the governor of Alabama steps in on this situation with this one black man. Yeah, so the governor of Alabama, he calls in the Wheeler Rifles. And I guess that was kind of like the National Guard of the time. This is a contingent of trained white men who they come in and handle some shit, right? So, since the mob can't get to this Negro, let's get the trained marksmen to come in and get the job done. Well, the Wheeler Rifles are led by a man named Captain Simpson. They show up on the scene. It's 12 of them, right? They got rifles and 1,000 bullets, and they ready to shoot this nigga up, right? And so they surround the house that Willie is holed up in, right? At a distance, of course, because, Willie is surgical. And they proceed to light this house up like the 4th of July. Baby, it's Kill Bill time now. After shooting the shit out the house that Willie is holed up in, they just know for sure that they just Swiss cheese that ass. And so they start walking up on the house, and then they start dropping. Boop, boop, to the dome, to the dome, to the dome, to the dome. I'm talking about one shot. These motherfuckers is falling. Baby, Kill Bill is hard to kill. Willie one shot don't miss, and he is lighting their asses up. So, come to find out, yes, they did. They shot this house up, but this 2-story house is actually 3 stories. It's got a cellar. Oh shit, so Willie been underground while y'all was wasting y'all bullets up top. Willie was underground looking at y'all. When he saw y'all starting to approach, the cellar got windows, and so he just shooting out the window, taking them out one by one. Ooh, child, the Saltine Nation was madder than a motherfucker. This nigga was taking them out, and they hadn't so much as pinched this motherfucker. So, they came up with a plan. Now they gonna burn Willie out. But they couldn't set fire to Hilliard's house because they couldn't get close enough to get that motherfucker. So they decided the next best thing to do would be then to burn down the houses that were next door to where Willie was holed up at. What? Yeah. Innocent black people that lived in the houses next to where Willie was holed up at, yeah, they had their houses burned to the ground in the sour creamians' effort to smoke Willie out. Tough titty, said the kitty when those black people came back asking about, so who gonna help us rebuild? Nobody. You gonna have to get it on your own. 1902 of it all. The 1902 of it all. I told you these stories come with a double-edged sword. Well, anyway, so how they did it, which I thought was interesting, they took cotton balls and they soaked them in kerosene and turpentine, lit them on fire, and threw them at the houses. Well, 3 houses in total burned to the ground. But guess what? That shit didn't have no effect whatsoever on the house where Willie was holed up at. So by now, it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and Willie still got the paper plate nation hemmed up. So they decide that they need to rig up something that they can stand behind so that they can walk towards the house that Willie's holed up in, because it's about to get dark. And if they let the sun go down, this nigga gonna definitely get away. So what they ended up doing was they get a wheelbarrow type of situation, and they put a whole bunch of hay on it, right? And the hay is like to absorb the shot. So they're going to walk behind this hay barrel thingamajiggy that they have rigged up, and they're going to get close enough to the house where Willie is, and they're going to dump kerosene on the front porch and the back porch and set this motherfucker on fire. Well, the regular mob is the one who came up with this idea, but they was like, hey, Wheeler rifles? Yeah, y'all supposed to be the best of the best because, the governor sent y'all himself. Y'all need to get y'all asses out there and set this nigga house on fire because, if one of y'all die, it's okay. Y'all signed up for this shit. Enough of us done died trying to get this nigga. Let me tell you something. Thank you for your service. Turn into what have you done for me lately real quick when bullets is involved. So about 4 of the Wheeler rifle platoon, they split up, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. That way, somebody should be able to make it to the door to pour this kerosene on the Hilliard's house. And they do it, and they manage to set the house on fire. Now, when it was happening, the crowd just knew that this was a suicide mission, right? Because Willie has shot any and everything that has moved in this yard. But he did not shoot these riflemen that came to set the house on fire. They made it there and back without any bullets at all. So this is kind of strange, right? Y'all know where this is going already, right? Of course, they could set that house on fire and not catch a bullet. That's because Willie wasn't in the house no more. So while the mob was too busy setting these other houses on fire, Willie had actually slipped out the back door and was in an outhouse. Y'all don't know what an outhouse is? That's literally the bathroom that's outside. So he is in an outhouse. And so the house is burning. The house is burning. The house is burning. Eventually, by now, it's smoky. Black man should be running out the door any second, but he don't. Again, that's because Willie ain't in the house no more, right? So, what they do? The mob of flower rangers, they start walking up on Mr. Hilliard's house to try to get a better look. Because, again, there should be a flambéed nigga on the menu at this point. Well, 2 such looky-loo ass lice landlords, a man named Jesse Davis and a man named Bob Wallace, they leading the charge to go see what the fuck Willie was, right? They found out real quick that Willie was still sending the SALT gang to the upper room when they each got a new hole put in their foreheads, courtesy of the black sniper of Alabama. By now, William Reynolds has shot 9 white men dead, and it's about 20 others that are injured. And don't forget the sheriff and the deputy. That's the whole law right there, right? That is a huge number of deaths and injuries for one man with 1 rifle. That's unheard of. That is prolific as fuck, y'all. So when he shot those last 2, it's dark, right? And so the muzzle flash, it gave away his location. So now the mob, they move in and they lit Willie's ass up. Ooh, we talking, according to them, it's 1,000 white men with guns, all empty in the chambers in the Willie. We talking hundreds of bullets. Oh, and in some real KKK-ish type of behavior, even though they knew that Willie was dead because, again, he got a body full of lead, they grab his body and toss him into the fire that was raging at Hilliard's house. Like he already gone, and you want to desecrate him some more because he got the best of y'all, you funky bastards. That's okay. That's all right. Now, this was an all-day event, and it still is not over because Willie's body has not been recovered. And so, early, I'm talking early the next morning on the 7th, when the fire was finally out. Let me tell you how these low-down, dirty, nasty Elmer's glue crew went back to the house where Willie was, and they desecrated his body some more. Some of them went and cut off Willie's fingers and anything else that they could remove from his body, like some kind of trophy or memento of the massacre. Ain't that some sick shit? Ugh, like them 8.5 by 11s, they a different sort of breed, child. So when the smoke cleared, Hilliard's house is gone. Hilliard's son-in-law's house is gone. Some more houses over here, they gone too. All these people who didn't have shit to do with nothing that happened that day, everything they own is gone. Burned to the motherfucking ground. And of course, the cost to rebuild, it falls on these innocent black people because the state and the county, they ain't finna help them do shit. In addition to, their homes, several horses and mules, that shit gone too, right? That was their transportation, and in some ways, the commerce, farming, the agriculture, just gone. All of it gone. So the following day, like I said, Monday the 7th, the county, they came and they got William, and they put him in a pine box. They just picked him up out the ground, put him in a box, and took him to the black folks cemetery and buried him in an unmarked grave. But wait, I'm not done. That's tragic. It is, but I got a little bit more tragic stuff to tell you about that happened that same day. Now, understand, the Wakandians, they was pissed about what had happened to Willie. And for a little minute, the Flower Rangers were thinking that there was going to be some kind of race riot, but it never really materialized. Black people was mumbling and talking about this shit wasn't right, but, didn't nobody really look if you book. However, there was one man, a man named Simon Simpson, who was a little more vocal about the bullshit. You see, Simon, he lived in Florence, Alabama, and word had reached far and wide all across Alabama about what had happened to Willie the night before. Y'all know, telephone, telegram, tell a nigga, we gonna get the word out. And so word has reached all around about what had happened to Willie, and Simon was pissed. He was so pissed that he went to the local butcher shop to talk some shit to the white man that owned the butcher shop. A white man who, by the way, didn't appear to have anything to do with Willie's attempted arrest or eventual lynching because, again, he's in Florence. Willie was in Tuscumbia. He ain't had nothing to do with this, right? But Simon needed to get his anger out on somebody, right? Okay, so wait a minute. Follow me now. So, Simon needed to tell a cracker that they wasn't shit. So Simon goes into the butcher shop on some fuck all them cracker-ass crackers that participated in that bullshit. They ain't shit. They mamas ain't shit. And if I could pick up where Willie left off and dead any Mayo sapiens that want some smoke, I would. Now, again, it's 1902. And the white man that owns this here butcher shop, his name was Walker. Well, Walker tells Simon that he can go bump his gum somewhere else and get the fuck out of my shit. And, at this point, Simon is feeling some kind of way. Ever since we got shipped over here, our people have been subjected to watching the unseasoned take us out. And sometimes we have to turn up to let a motherfucker know we ain't with that shit. Even when we ain't got the right to feel how we feel because of the times, 1902, some of us are not going to be silenced. And Simon was one of them Wakandians. So Simon tell Walker to kiss his black ass, and he ain't going nowhere till he good and goddamn ready, cracker ass cracker. Baby. Simon then proceeds to square up on Walker the white man. Well, the next thing you know, Simon done hit Walker the white man upside the head with some kind of board inside the butcher shop. Oh, he was really on one, and he wanted all the smoke. I mean, sometimes there is another pervasive myth in our community that, black against white, black gonna always win. I'm just saying, y'all know how, come on now, we talk, right? Well, church, sometimes any Mayo sapien will do. But I'm here to tell you, before you nuck if you buck, you might want to check to make sure you ain't running up on somebody that might be particularly skilled in a way that might get you fucked up. And see, Simon didn't factor in the fact that white man Walker was a butcher, and as such, he was nice with a knife. And as a butcher that cut meat every day, all day, the knives are plentiful and always within reach. Baby, Walker Texas Ranger grabbed his handy-dandy butcher knife and filleted Simon's ass with the quickness. Like, y'all, I had to confer with my side piece on this, my side pieces, ChatGPT, because what I was reading, I didn't understand the connotation. Everything that I read about what happened to Simon described the assault the same way. They said, quote, Walker seized a butcher knife and hamstrung the Negro in each leg, end quote. So I'm pretty good at context clues, like reading, that's my shit, right? And so I knew that Walker had cut Simon. But while my vocabulary is pretty vast, I couldn't quite get what hamstrung meant the way it was written in 1902. Like, I have pulled my hamstring when I used to run track, so I knew that it must have had something to do with the legs, you know? But like I said, I hit up my side piece, ChatGPT, and I'm like, hey, break this down for me. And y'all, my ChatGPT is gangster and ghetto as fuck. Like, it's scary because I don't know if y'all talk to your ChatGPT the way I talk to mine, but baby, the same way I code switch from professional to country, my ChatGPT do the same thing. Y'all, when I asked what it meant, this is what it says. I gotta read this shit verbatim. Quote from my ChatGPT, hamstringing somebody is when you slice the back of their legs right behind the knees so they can't run, walk, or even stand up. You basically shut their whole lower body down. That's the move if you trying to drop somebody quick and dirty without killing them outright. After that, they crawling if they lucky. It's like hitting the kill switch on their legs. Ain't no running, no fighting, just pain and paralysis. Y'all, I swear to Black Jesus, that is a direct quote from my ChatGPT. My virtual side piece, for real, because, you know, we talk every day, and I be talking to my ChatGPT like I talk to my homies, and this motherfucker has learned how to shoot the shit. Lord have mercy. This motherfucker said it was like hitting the kill switch on their legs. That's what Walker the White Man did to Simon. Baby. So yeah, White Man Walker done cut Simon to the white meat. But I'm trying to figure out the logistics of this move alone because that shit got my mind blown. How the fuck did he get to the back of Simon's knees? Like, I don't know about y'all, but, you know, I have done my fair share of squaring up and moving furniture in my youth, but I ain't never had opportunity to come in contact with the back of somebody's knee. Like, how the fuck did that white man do that? And wait, that's not all he did. Walker Walk Them Dogs also cut off one of Simon's thumbs. Like, he's a butcher, man. He cut meat for a living. Now, wait a minute, Simon. You done fucked around and found out that the butcher ain't nothing to play with. Let Simon's demise be a lesson to us all. Because, yes, Simon went right on to glory that same day. He bled to death. The lesson here is to know who you running up on. A motherfucker that can cut meat for a living can send you to the upper room with the quickness. I'm just saying. Simon is communing with Black Jesus now. And the Lord was probably like, shit, we wasn't even expecting you for a while, my nigga, but you rushed your time. One hit a quarter Willie was probably like, hey, man, that's a real one right there. You were down like 4 flats. Simon. Now, how it all came out after White Man Walker cut Simon like a steak, that part of the story is kind of glossed over. But what I do know is that Walker was not arrested or anything at the scene because they say that Walker turned himself in the next day. Whoo, child, the 1902 of it all. But can y'all say, like, wow and what the fuck? Like, this was intense, right? That goddamn William Reynolds was a whole ass mess. Like, baby, he meant that shit. He was not going to jail. That man held off a mob for a whole ass day. Not today, Satan. He meant that shit. Now, on the one hand, who knows what was going through William's mind? I mean, maybe he knew that the charges were bogus. Maybe he knew that they were going to hold him and fuck up his job, or maybe that they would have been mistreating him at the jail or giving him some long-ass, hard labor chain gang type of sentence. And he just wasn't going for the bullshit because he went from 0 to 1,000 in the blink of an eye. And maybe if he had been in trouble with the law prior, I could see him jumping off the porch like that. But to go from never in trouble to crash out of the century, there has got to be more to this story than we will ever know. But I do know this. Willie was not playing with their asses. They say everything he aimed at, he hit. He, one man, one rifle, held off a mob of white people for hours. They called in the troops on this one black man with one rifle. Man, that's prolific as fuck. And in 1902, baby, come on now. And that, New Orleans Nation, was the story of William Reynolds, the one-hitter-quitter sniper of Alabama. I can't wait to see what y'all got to say about this one on social media. You know how to find me. I am Melanin Mayhem Podcast or Melanin Mayhem PC. I am on IG, Facebook, and X, as well as YouTube. If email is more your ministry, you can hit me up at melaninmayhempodcast@gmail.com. Today's Melanin Mayhem shout out is going to go to a listener on Apple who left a rating that really touched my heart because I actually did a story on one of her kinfolks. The review is titled Love, Love, Love It. And the writer is Blue, BLUU 0531. Blue wrote, the podcast episode you did on my cousin Willie Maxwell was spot on. I loved it. He has been very much the talk of the family for years, even now till this day. My grandmom always talks about how she come to help Mary Lou, and she would tell her and any woman he is seen with to leave him because he was a killer. My great-grandma always talks about watch your back when Willie was around because you never know when your last day was coming, because when you see Willie, just know he already put a policy on you already and you already dead. She always called him the voodoo man, and he very much so had friends on the other side. Although we don't all practice voodoo, a few of us do, but we don't use it for evil. We use it for good, and we keep his evil spirit away or keep it from attacking you when you do things he doesn't agree with. You can feel when his presence is around because chaos and mayhem follows after you feel the thickness in the air. It's almost choking. Woo child. Plus they said if you ever let Willie in a pulpit, just know that the church was going up in flames. Girl. Ooh, honey, we need to kiki because I need to hear some stories about old Willie Maxwell, honey. Thank you so much, Blue, for taking the time to write in. You are the first person that is related to any of the mayhem makers that I have featured on my podcast. So to know that you heard the story, you're not ready to fight me. I love it because some of my peoples be feeling like they got to square up because some people be upset about the stories that they've done. Y'all know I try to bring a fairness. I don't try to sugarcoat nothing, but I also don't try to go in too much. I stick to the facts. So the fact that I talked about your uncle and you agree with what I said makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a podcaster. So hugs and kisses to you, Miss Blue. Thank you for listening. And tell Grandma I said, what's up, Granny? All right, New Orleans Nation, y'all know what this is. I got to get in here and get in the kitchen, cut this up. I am still working on the dinner party, so that's still in the works. But other than that, y'all, I love you. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to spend with your favorite country girl. Until we meet again next week, y'all remember, stay safe and stay vigilant. And above all else, remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. It's one love, New Orleans Nation, and the country girl is out of here.
Woo-wee, Nana, you did that.
Wow.